The way we do transitions in triathlon can have a really profound impact on your performance in the race. So if you move through transition with confidence and assertiveness, well then I believe it can set you up for a really good race. So I'm going to show you a really 5-step simple process to help you do mounts and dismounts on your bike and move through transition really quickly, and where you can save a lot of time. So step one is all about once you've got the bike off the rack and then you're proceeding towards the mount line. So road bikes, time trial bikes, they pretty much steer themselves. So you steer the bike from the seat to the back, but it's really important when you're steering the bike that your hip is nice and close to the seat. All right, when you do that, you can guide the bike around other people, other bikes, around corners, around U-turns, without actually having to go anywhere near the front part of the bike. You're doing all your guiding from the back here. Okay, so once you're doing that, it takes you up to the mount line. All right, and that's the way you move through transition, guiding the bike by the seat and where your hip is nice and close. Step two is once you've gone past the mount line, you're then looking at actually the process to get on the bike. So that process is where you're looking at where you're going to place your hands. So in this case, just put the helmet on the ground. Where you're going to place your hands is, if you're on a road bike, on the hoods. If you're on a time trial bike, it'd be down on the, on the horns on the side. But you're placing your hands, in this case for a road bike, thumb inside, fingers outside, but you're also doing it where you don't have to look down when you do that. You're maintaining your vision ahead, looking out for other competitors, other obstacles, and being able to navigate yourself through transition without looking down where you're placing the hands on the bike. So that's step two. And you're also practicing going from your hands back to the seat to make sure that you can put those hands on the hoods or the bull horns without actually looking at it. Step three is where you're starting to position yourself to get onto the bike. All right, so step three is where hands are on the hoods or on the bull horns and you're getting nice and side onto the bike. So the hips are nice and side onto the bike and there's forward momentum moving with the bike. So it's really important in this process that there's always forward momentum and your upper torso is actually starting to lean over the front part of the bike to give you that forward momentum that you need. All right, so step three is getting into the position, hands on the hoods, hips side on, and you're skipping along beside the bike to help you get into the right position to actually then mount the bike. Step four looks a little bit funny if you can do we call this the flying mount. Step four is where again you're stepping forward momentum over the bike, hips are side on, and you're kicking your rear leg back, because eventually you want that rear leg to come over the seat. Looks a little bit funny, but it's actually part of the process. So step four is about kicking that back leg up to get you into a better position again to get onto the bike. And then the final process is where hands are on the hood, forward momentum, leg is back, and then you just simply, what's called the flying mount onto the bike and you're away. So the whole process is a matter of a second or two, but what we've done here is we've broken it down into a simple 5-step process. So going through those steps again, step one, guiding the bike by the seat. Step two, putting the hands on the hoods or the bull horns if you're on a time trial bike. Step three is where you're getting nice and side onto the bike, that forward momentum, torso over the front of the bike. Step four, forward momentum again, kicking that back leg up. And then step five, leg is over and you're away, you're pedaling away. So sometimes with this type of thing, mounts and dismounts, I find that adults have barriers to learning. Teaching this skill to kids is really easy because they have no fear, whereas adults, sometimes there's some barriers to learning about falling off and what can go wrong. So the other method you can use if you don't want to use a flying mount, as we call it, is called the scooter method. So steps 1 and 2, exactly the same. Guiding the bike by the back of the seat, moving to the mount line, getting side on, but instead of doing step 3 and step 4 and step 5, you're actually you have the pedals in a vertical, you have the cranks in a vertical position. So one pedal is down near the ground, you're putting your foot on top of that pedal, and then with the back foot you're doing what's called a scooter, 2-3 scooter motions, and then rolling the leg over. So a little bit easier if you're a little bit worried about your inability or you're a little bit scared about doing that flying mount method. So once you've gone through the mount process and you've actually started your bike leg, this time you've got your shoes on the pedals. All right, so they're nice and horizontal. So you use those rubber bands. The shoes are nice and horizontal. Your feet are on the shoes and you've started pedaling. All right, then the process from there is just putting one foot into one shoe, doing that up, a little bit of pedaling again, and then putting the other foot into the other shoe, doing that up, and off you go. So it's a lot quicker if the shoe's are already on the pedals and they're in a horizontal motion, and then once you've got onto the bike to start the bike leg, if you can then just slide your feet into the shoes one at a time, do them up with a Velcro strap, that's a lot quicker than trying to run in cycling shoes and then get onto your bike. Here we have two types of bike shoes. This is your standard road cycling shoe, not really triathlon specific, and the reason for that is you can see that there's a ratchet, there's no clip at the back, so that's your standard road cycling shoe. What I've got clipped on the bike here is a triathlon shoe, so that you'll notice there is it's got the strap, so easy to put on, put your feet in the shoes when you're on the bike, and then also, if you come a little bit closer, you can see that the rubber band is hooked into the bike, so it keeps the shoes nice and flat. So once you're on the bike, you've done your mount, you're riding away, your shoes are already nice and horizontal, and then you go about putting your feet in the shoes while you're on the bike. Compared to if you had the standard road cycling shoe, not impossible to do, but very difficult to do in this type of thing, because this type of shoe will just drop down like so, and it's a lot harder to put your feet in this type of shoe whilst you're already on the bike. So finally, once you've finished the bike leg, you've got the dismount. So you'll come up to a mount line, and before you get to the mount line, ideally what you're doing is you're taking your feet out of the shoes. They're sitting on top of the pedals, and then your feet are sitting on top of the pedals. As you come into the mount line, you're starting to slow down using your brakes, and then you're simply lifting your leg over. So you're back into what we would call the scooter method at the start. You're lifting your leg over before you get to the mount line, both feet on the ground, and then you're back into step one, which is guiding the bike by the back of the seat back to where your bike was racked.